Hi, this is Shannon Riley. I'm the rider for Ingress, a Trainer stallion owned by Janice Simmons. I got him in January of this year, unstarted, but he had been with Andrew Palmer, who did a brilliant job with him prior to me getting him on the ground. You can kind of see a couple of the short clips here of me laying over him. I think I did that maybe once before we hopped on. And you can kind of see here my girl Allie hopping on for the first time to do the little first lunging. I think it's important to kind of have a couple different riders sometimes so that they don't get too reliant on one rider. Here you can see Ingress on his first little off-the-property trip in town to Bubba's here in Aiken. And you can see me kind of lunging him over some cross-country fences and playing in the water. He was wholly unfazed by this whole concept and thought it was just a great game that we were out playing. I like to start a lot of my young horses lunging over cross-country fences especially, and any time before they jump so that they gain their own self-confidence and can kind of figure out their feet without me getting in the way. Here he is playing up the bank a little bit, and you can see how curious and fun he is. He's got such a great personality and was totally unconcerned being by himself in this field, and was just overall, it has been very easy to deal with, even being a 4-year-old stallion, which sometimes that in and of itself can be a bit hard. I'm just really bad at this vlog and talking to myself here at the computer. But here's a video of him over at the Vista schooling in the dressage arena. You can't quite tell, but I think these winds were going about 30 miles an hour. I think a dressage letter might have blown through at one point. Here he is over at Hitchcock Woods, where we went with a couple other geldings and did a trot set around on the hills and played over some of the logs with me on him. I think this is his first time jumping under saddle, and you can see how wholly concerned he was with it. He's got such an easy uphill balance canter. I like to go to the woods sometimes with the young horses so that they can just go in a straight line and figure it out without having to try and also add steering into the complications. But here he is kind of being a good boy and loping up and down with the uneven footing and over some little logs with all of his friends, but a bit unconcerned at this moment. Here he is again with my girl Allie at the Vista doing a little baby cross-country school. I like to take the babies out with a more experienced horse so that while they have to learn their own independence, they also get a buddy to rely on and to kind of watch, and in case we get into any trouble, we can follow our friend over. This is kind of an interesting couple clips where you can kind of see him figuring out the jumping. There he kind of jumps a little shallow, and here Allie comes with him the next time, and he over jumps this one a little bit. Whee! And then the third time, you can kind of see how he processes all of it and figures it all out. Look at him being perfect. And here's a good little clip of him continuing on and following his buddy over a little log and his first little ditch. Oh, and off we go. He was overall very unimpressed by all of this. And here's a little course. And again, I go back. I think it's very important for my program in general to have another rider who feels confident hopping on the young horses. And for me not to be too heavily involved. I find myself as a rider guilty of helping the young horses a little bit more than I need to, and sometimes it's good for me to watch them from the ground to see how they're developing and little things that I want to work on. And you can see here he's got such a nice easy canter. Allie can just kind of lope him down even to this first little beginner novice fence, and he wasn't spooked by anything, and his buddy was over here and he couldn't care less. What a good boy. He's got such a nice little style over the fences. And here was his first little grid at home. And his first little dressage schooling horse trial over at Apple Trees in town. Here were the tiny little fences, so I didn't overface him, and we didn't have to worry about being a 4-year-old stallion and jumping. You know, we like to figure out one thing at a time, but you see here he was pretty unimpressed with these little fences. I really believe in a lot of keeping them figuring out their canter and let the little jumps get in the way and keeping them up in front of my leg. And he just lopes around in such a good little rhythm. It's really been fun to have him be this easy and unconcerned. Apple Tree is such a great venue here for us in Aiken because they have these shows every week on Thursdays, and they're very low pressure. They're great for the young horses. It's great to get out over a longer course and let them kind of keep jumping and figure it out and gain confidence over without the environment at some of the bigger venues. Here he is a couple weeks later. Since he'd been so good the first time, we decided to add some real jumps this time, and again, he's pretty unfazed. He canters down, and I really try at this stage in their life to not get in the way too much and let them make their own decisions. If he wants to canter down to the base, then I just support him cantering on down to the base, and I let him make his own decisions, back himself off. Ooh, here's a little filler, and you actually see him try a little bit there. But I really just focus on keeping their rhythm really nice and steady, and his pole the highest point, and let him figure it out himself. And here we are at home. Oop, popping over a little corner, down to the X, over a little triple bar, and he's pretty unimpressed. Here I am laughing because I had to laugh at how easy he found it all. And here's his first real adult cross-country school. I had a little change there over at Sporting Days after the horse show. And you can see him kind of taking me right up the hill and up over his first little knob.